Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're exploring something really unique.
Yeah.
We're stepping back into the ancient world of Buddhist monastic life, specifically the rule book.
The Vinaya.
Exactly. And we're zeroing in on the rules for ordaining nuns in the Bhikkhunis.
Right, the Pācittiya rules for them. What's so fascinating, I think, is how these rules came about.
How so?
Well, they weren't just dreamt up in isolation. Each one pretty much stems from a real-life situation, an incident.
Like a case study.
Exactly, often involving the Buddha himself, responding to issues in places like Savatthi or Rajagaha. It's like a historical record of challenges.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack these regulations, Pācittiya 71 to 83, I believe,
That's the set.
and see what they tell us about, well, the requirements, the process, community governance.
And the wisdom baked into these ancient guidelines, you'll find some surprisingly relevant insights, I think.
Great. So let's dive in. Where do we start? The absolute basics.
Makes sense. Let's start with who could even be considered. The foundational requirements.
Okay, so age must have been a factor, right?
A big one, yeah. Pācittiya 71 is clear. Ordaining a novice nun, a samai, who is under 20, Vinaya was an offense for the ordaining bhikkhunī.
20, that seems fairly mature already.
It does. It signals that full monastic life, the responsibilities, wasn't seen as suitable for, teenagers.
So reach 20 and you're good to go.
Not quite. There's another layer. Pācittiya 72 adds that even if a novice was 20, she needed to have completed 2 years of specific training first.
Training in what?
In what they called the 6 rules. Think of it as a mandatory preparatory period, like an apprenticeship. Ordaining someone without that, even at 20, was also an offense.
So a 2-year probation almost?
Kind of. And interestingly, there was a clarification later. An 18-year-old could start this 2-year training.
Okay, so you could begin the process at 18, train for 2 years, and then potentially be ordained at 20.
Exactly. A structured path.
What about younger than 18, or even younger than that for full ordination? Was there a hard stop?
Absolutely. Pācittiya 74 deals with full nuns, not just novices. It prohibits ordaining anyone under 12 years old.
12. Why 12?
The reasoning given is pretty direct. They were considered bala, sort of foolish, or maybe ignorant is a better word, unable to really grasp what was proper or improper conduct. Kapiyava, akapiyava.
I see. So it was about discernment, maturity, not just the number. Ordaining someone too young caused problems.
Big problems, yeah. For the student and the preceptor, the texts say.
Okay, so let's say someone is 12 or older. They meet the minimum age. Is that enough?
Still not enough on its own. This is where Pācittiya 75 comes in. Even if she's 12 or older, Advata Sarasa, she still needed the Sangha's approval.
The whole community had to agree.
The whole community, yes. Ordaining without that approval, Sagana Asamata, was an offense. The Buddha specifically permitted it if the Sangha assessed the candidate.
Assess them on what?
On whether she was beata skilled, clever, capable, and, conscientious, modest, having a sense of shame in a good way.
And if not?
If they were deemed bala, foolish, or alagina, shameless, then no ordination. It's a real focus on character and community fit.
Wow. It really highlights that age was just one piece.
Yeah.
Maturity, that training period, and then this community assessment. It was a comprehensive vetting process.
Definitely. They were building a stable community, and they knew who they let in was crucial.
Okay, so we've covered the who. Now, what about the how? The actual process and maintaining harmony during that process.
Right. The procedural integrity was huge. Pācittiya 73 hammers home that Sangha approval point again.
Even after the training and age requirements were met.
Yes. Even if the candidate was 20, had done her 2 years in the 6 rules, you still needed that formal community consent. It had to be done properly through a specific procedure.
Which was?
Called Natadutiana Kamena. Basically, a formal motion proposed and then confirmed by the assembly. No shortcuts.
That really emphasizes the collective nature of the decision. It wasn't just one nun's choice.
Absolutely not. Which leads into another interesting aspect, accepting the community's decisions.
What if someone didn't like the outcome?
Well, Pācittiya 76 gives us a story. A bhikkhunī named Kantakali asked for permission to ordain someone. The Sangha said, essentially, not right now.
Okay.
And she initially agreed, but then later, when other nuns were granted permission, she apparently started complaining, grumbling. Yada mata pajaya.
Oh.
Exactly. This led to a rule against that kind of behavior falling into resentment over a collective decision. Harmony was prized. You had to accept the Sangha's judgment gracefully.
That sounds incredibly relevant even today, in any group setting, managing disagreement and bruised egos.
Totally. It's human nature, isn't it? Now, another aspect of the how was the setting for the ordination.
You mean where it took place?
And who was involved, yes.
Right.
Pācittiya 81 tells of Bhikkhunīvibhaṅga. She pops up a few times in these rules.
Seems like a character.
A bit of one, yes. She wanted to ordain a trainee, a sikkhamānā, but instead of using the proper assembly, she actually dismissed the senior monks who were present.
Dismiss the monks. What?
The text notes there was plenty of food and drink, so it wasn't a resource issue. She then convenes, let's say, a less suitable group. People like Devadatta, who was famously opposed to the Buddha.
Wow. That's a serious breach of protocol.
A huge breach. It led to a rule emphasizing that ordinations had to happen within the formal recognized assembly. It protected the sanctity and legitimacy of the act. You couldn't just grab any group you liked.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? These rules weren't abstract. They were responses to real people, real conflicts, real attempts to bend the rules.
Precisely. They show a community learning how to maintain order, prevent favoritism, and ensure its core processes weren't undermined.
Okay, so we have age, training, community approval, accepting decisions, proper assembly. What about ethics beyond the internal procedures, like how the Sangha interacted with the outside world?
That's another critical dimension. The ethical conduct of nuns, especially preceptors, and the Sangha's reputation were clearly major concerns.
How did that show up in ordination rules?
Well, back to Bhikkhunīvibhaṅga. Pācittiya 77 and 78 involve her again, this time dealing with potential exploitation.
Exploitation of the trainees.
Yes. In 77, she apparently promised to ordain a trainee if she got a robe from her, but then after getting the robe, she didn't follow through without a good reason.
So using ordination as leverage for gifts.
Exactly. And 78 is similar, promising ordination if the trainee served her for 2 years and then reneging on the deal. So these rules explicitly forbid using the promise of ordination to gain material benefits or personal service. A clear ethical boundary against abusing that position of power.
That's really important, protecting the vulnerable candidates. What about the candidate's own conduct? Were there ethical disqualifiers?
Oh, definitely. Pācittiya 79 lays some out. A bhikkhuni couldn't ordain a trainee known for improper associations. The text mentions purisasaya, improper contact with men, or kumāribhūtā, with boys.
Okay, so behavioral standards.
Yes, and character traits, too. They shouldn't ordain someone known to be kinchunch, ill-tempered, irascible, or sopavasai, someone who causes sorrow or distress to others.
So basically someone likely to disrupt the community harmony or bring it into disrepute.
Exactly. It connects back to that idea of community well-being and maintaining high ethical standards, both internally and in the eyes of the lay supporters.
Speaking of lay supporters, did family play a role? What if someone wanted to ordain but their family objected?
That was addressed too. Pācittiya 80 is about getting permission from parents, natapitaro, or a husband, samiko, before ordaining a woman.
Why was that needed? Was it about ownership?
Less about ownership, I think, and more about social reality and maintaining good relations. The rule arose because lay people, parents, husbands, actually complained when women left for ordination without their consent.
Ah, so it was pragmatic, avoiding conflict with the very people who supported the Sangha.
Precisely. It shows the Sangha navigating its place within the broader society, balancing the individual's spiritual quest with existing social ties and expectations. It preserved the Sangha's reputation.
That balance is fascinating. Individual aspiration versus social responsibility and community ethics. These rules seem incredibly practical in addressing those tensions.
They really were. They weren't just idealistic. They were grounded in the realities of running a community.
Which brings us to a final, very practical point. Managing growth. What happened when the Sangha became maybe too popular?
Right. Success can bring its own challenges. Pācittiya 82 tackles the issue of ordaining too frequently. Some bhikkhunis were ordaining anuhasa every single year.
What was wrong with that? More nuns, more good, right?
You'd think so, but practically it caused problems. The text says the upasayana samati, the monastery, or perhaps a support system, couldn't cope. It became disordered, unsustainable.
Like growing pains.
Exactly. And again, it led to complaints from the lay community, perhaps because resources were stretched thin or the quality of training suffered.
So what was the solution?
The rule established was to ordain ekanteriko every other year, basically hitting the brakes slightly to ensure sustainable growth.
A quota system, almost.
In effect, yes. And Pācittiya 83 reinforces this. It prohibits ordaining ekavasad divupenti 2 candidates in a single year.
So not only every other year, but also only one per preceptor in that ordination year.
It seems that way, yes. Ordaining two in 1 year also led to the monastery being disorderly and public complaints. It really locked in that every other year, one candidate rhythm.
It's quite something to see rules addressing what sounds like organizational capacity and, frankly, public relations.
It shows a real awareness of the practicalities. Running a thriving spiritual community wasn't just about meditation. It involved logistics, resource management, and maintaining public goodwill.
So pulling it all together, what's the big picture these Pācittiya rules paint?
I think they paint a vivid picture of a living, evolving community, the early Bhikkhunī Sangha, learning to govern itself effectively. Each rule, stemming from a real issue, addressed a specific need, ensuring readiness through age and training, maintaining procedural integrity, upholding ethical standards, respecting social ties, and even managing the sheer pace of growth.
It sounds like a very meticulous process of building resilience and stability.
Exactly. Every rule was a lesson learned, codified to prevent future problems and ensure the long-term health and integrity of the path for women monastics. It's about foresight, structure, and ethical grounding.
So thinking about this for you, our listener, while these are ancient rules for Buddhist nuns, what resonates today?
Well, the challenges seem timeless, don't they?
They really do. Building any community, any organization, involves balancing individual desires with collective needs, setting standards, ensuring ethical leadership, managing growth.
Right. How do you ensure quality doesn't suffer as you scale? How do you maintain trust, both internally and externally?
What can we learn from the incredible foresight shown here, this meticulous attention to detail in crafting rules designed not just for the present, but for the long-term stability of the Bhikkhunī Sangha? It makes you think about accountability and impact in our own communities, doesn't it?